Well, Dragonfolk, it seems a lot of people online are having issues with prizing for their big events that are run by their LGS. And I have something to say about that. Stop complaining. Welcome on in, Dragonfolk. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. I know I am. My name is Ashen Wings, and I will welcome you all into the lair. So today we have to talk about something that is a little bit controversial, and I'm not too sure where everybody lies with it, right? But as a decently competitive player slash somebody who at least is comfortable with competitions knows that there's always prizing to be had at these big events, right? I mean, you go to callings and there's hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line, and there's all these other side events that are run. And then you've got the small little events like armories and so on and so forth, where there's just a small little entry fee. I think a lot of people are getting prizing confused with other things that maybe they expect from other LGSs. And I wanted to talk about my experience with ProQuest and personally what I felt could have been changed as far as prizing went. We'll go ahead and just cut to the chase there. I don't think prizing should have been any different for our LGS. I was happy to go to the min-max location for $40 as an entry fee, and I got one Dynasty pack and a promo, much like if you were to enter into an armory. Now, let me be clear, there were other prizes available on the line. Obviously, a lot more the higher up you went on the ladder. But from what I'm seeing is that there are a lot of people who are complaining that the LGS are not paying them enough for being a part of these tournaments or being a part of these 160 player or even 32 player ProQuest events. And honestly, I think that if you are going to a ProQuest expecting to make money, I think that you should, one, be a good player, and two, understand that if you do not make top 24 or whatever, then you're not going to get anything, right? The difference here is that there are certain LGSs that do one thing and certain LGS that do another, right? There's plenty of different ways LGS run their ProQuests, some of them with only 20 people, some of them with 160 plus people, right? There's plenty of different ProQuests available around for people to get into as far as Flesh and Blood goes. And honestly, if you feel like the prizing is not sufficient enough for you for your ProQuest that you're attending, then maybe just, I don't know, don't go. Maybe go find a different LGS that you like the prizing for better. You may have to drive farther for that LGS. Maybe it's nowhere near as convenient for you to go, but if you believe that you're going to do very well in the tournament and you believe that LGS A has better prizing than LGS B, then you should plan accordingly to that specific situation. That's my own personal opinion there. But I think that LGS are doing just fine in prizing. You know, there's really not much that you can do in regards to this because you can't just be paying out a whole bunch of people with a whole bunch of free stuff just because they entered into the ProQuest. We're lucky enough that there are enough LGS out there as of right now who will even be able to do a ProQuest. Not to mention that most of these ProQuests are not held inside stores. Any of these bigger, like 40 to 60 to 100 player ProQuests are normally not run inside the actual LGS. For MinMax, for instance, MinMax is a very small store in comparison. I mean, obviously, its impact on Flesh and Blood is very huge, but the actual inside of the store is not going to hold anywhere near 60 people. It has a hard time holding 12 sometimes. So there is just no way that they're going to hold it there. So they have to then go and rent a place out. And that's where we're looking at like where the prices are, right? Because you're paying $40 all the time. $40 is what you spend on your ticket to get into the tournament, right? But you are also spending that money for a chance at more money. You're spending that money for a chance at a Pro Tour invitation, at a bunch of, other things such as the top 8 prizing for the Soraya sleeves, even the metal fab token if you end up making top 24. And anything else after that is completely up to the LGS to give out. Some LGSs were giving out boxes for winners of the first and second place. Some places were only giving out like $100 in store credit or even just $100 in general. MinMax itself was doing their top prizing. First place got $100, a Pro Tour invite, the gold cold foil, the Soraya sleeves, and a fab token. That is the metal resource token. That is what first place got for MinMax. Now, MinMax, again, has a huge impact in the Flesh and Blood world. But there are people out there who think that that is just not enough, right? That if people decided to come in and do that, everybody else should also be getting big prizes, right? Because if people are playing $40 a head and it's 60 people going to a pro quest, let's just say 70, right? That's about $2,800 that are coming in through the door that, people are like, oh, well, how is that not accounted for, right? If you're giving out one pack to everybody and then everybody else is getting like, a few tens of dollars, right? 9th through 16th place got $30 on top of their sleeves and fab tokens, right? Or well, not their sleeves. They didn't get any sleeves. Just their fab tokens. Top 8 made like $50 or something, I think. 5th through 8th place made $50. Third and fourth place made $60. Second place made $75. And first place made $100, right? That is the prizing that was given out there. So altogether, the amount of money that was given out on top of the actual Pro Tour kit, essentially, that was given by LSS to give out to the winners and the top players of the tournament is about $735, right? $735 given out to players. Then there was the cost of every single one of the packs that were given out, right? One pack to everybody. So that therefore meant it was, let's say it was like $2 a pack, right? $2 a pack for 70 players, that's 140 extra dollars. So not even $1,000 were given out to people, and they made 2,800. Now, everybody is sitting here going, well, that's where the math is, right? Like, oh, there's no way, like they're making such an incredible profit off of this. Like they should be able to do better prizing if they're able to make this better profit. Don't you want the LGS to make profit? Isn't like the purpose of the LGS is to stay in business? You don't get both. The LGS is not going to take a loss on a giant tournament that they had to, in MinMax's situation, had to get a venue for. They live streamed it with an audio crew and also 2 individual casters who they'd have to pay for. They had everybody who was working there at the time working that event, and I don't believe everybody's salary. There were so many different factors, and more importantly, the venue, right? Let's just talk about the venue alone. They had to rent out that venue. It started at like they had to have been there. MinMax had to have gotten there at like 8 a.m., right? Maybe even earlier. And it spent from 8 a.m. all the way until just about midnight working on this, right? Getting everything done for their ProQuest. That is a long time to rent out a venue, especially a dining hall or a banquet hall of a hotel. That's a lot. And this is just an LGS. Like, they make a little bit here and there, but normally there's not a huge profit to be done in these pro quests. So I think I'm confused when people say that they wish the prizing was better. Do you wish that you got $40 worth of stuff coming in through the door? Because I don't think you should. Because at that point, why is your LGS even running the event? Right? Like, why would they go out of their way to make an event if they knew they were going to make no money on it whatsoever? Obviously they're not looking to rip the wallets out of everybody. They're not going to. Some give you nothing. Some give you just the prizes that were given, right? The cold foil, the sleeves, and the resource tokens, right? And maybe that's all they can afford. But realize that you are supporting an LGS, and not only that, you are paying your ticket to attempt to try and get into a higher paying tournament that is longer on down the line, right? That has better pricing because it is a fully sanctioned thing from LSS. Like, that's what you're spending the $40 on, is a chance to win a tournament and get an invite to go to this bigger event where you can win hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Or tens of thousands of dollars, even if you do well there. You have to realize that your LGS is it's the bottom of the pyramid as far as the prizing goes, right? And it's they don't even have to prize you at all. They could prize you just off of what LSS sends them, and they could just do nothing else. But guess what? You're still opting in to go for that Pro Tour invite. You're still opting in to get that cold foil, which more than often than not gets sold immediately after opening, and then makes up your entry fee plus like 20 other people's entry fees. You are paying an entry fee for that. I don't believe that you should be making $40 in product, or hell, even $25 in prizes if you end up getting like 64th place, right? If that were the case, people would join into LGS and join into ProQuest, and then they would just drop and end up taking whatever prizes they could possibly get, right? Obviously, there's no umbrella for what every LGS should do for prizing. And if at some point that happens to be the case, then it does. But not every LGS has the players nor the income to do something like that, right? If every LGS had to give out 3 boxes for a ProQuest, there are some places that would lose a lot of money in regards to that. And you want to make sure that your LGS is profiting, because if they're not profiting, you don't have a place to play. And $40, I'm a new player as far as things are concerned. But $40 does not seem like a lot for me in regards to entering a tournament, right? When I go play an armory, I do very well enough to the point where I can at least get a pack out of it. And if that happens to be the case, perfect. That works out and I get my pack, I get a promo, I'm good to go, right? But if I don't get a pack, I'm not going to sit there and cry that everybody else got a pack. If you don't do well in the tournament, you don't get any prizing. That's just how it is. And even at 9th and 16th place, from 9th to 16th place, you got $30, right? Which is 3/4 of your entry fee, plus a token, the metal resource token, and the knowledge of going into this meta, right? You tried your best, but you didn't win. So you shouldn't get any prizes for not winning. Like, obviously, getting in a higher echelon of standings has you a better chance at better prizing, but there are so many people who believe that the prizing just should not exist for just the high level people. They believe that the prizing should only be for pretty much everybody, right? You should be getting what you paid for going into a ProQuest, and it's just not the case. So again, there's so many more things behind the scenes that these LGSs are paying for in order for a ProQuest to work for us, the players. So when they ask for $40 as the entry fee, that is the staple entry fee everywhere, you're either going to go, that's too expensive, or go, well, the prizing is worth it, I'll go in there and I'll play. But if you personally don't believe that ALGS does well in prizing, then maybe don't attend their ProQuest. But don't deny them the ability to run a ProQuest simply because they cannot afford the same kind of prizing as other stores. Because it's not all in the same level here, right? Some stores only have 20 players that come up in a regular time. Some stores only have like 5. There's no way certain stores would be able to run a pro quest with only 5 players. That just doesn't happen. So it's silly, right? I think a lot of people are complaining because they didn't get their way over the pro quest. They ended up going 3-3 and going, "Oh well, what did I do? I wasted 7 hours of my day playing Flesh and Blood." If you're in it for the money and you didn't do good and you lost, then you need to get better. You need to get good, because that's the only way you're going to get prizing is if you get good. And I know that for a fact. I did not go in there. I wanted to make top 24, but I didn't. I went 3-3 in my pro quest, and I went, okay, well, I did get something out of today. I got a pack, I got a promo, and I learned about the highly competitive meta that I'm being pushed into. And that's it, right? The learning experience is what you get out of this if you're a new player. If you're an old player and you've been playing for a while and you're a veteran, you know what the meta is like, you know how to play, you're a really good player. Let's say you're a really good player and you play into it, then you should obviously be expecting to get into that higher echelon of tier. But if you're not, if you don't end up making it, right? I don't know what to tell you, right? It blows my mind to think that there are so many entitled people who believe that they deserve to get the $40 that they paid for because they drove 45 minutes to an hour to go to this pro quest and didn't end up winning, and therefore they're like, "Oh god, it was all worthless. This was dumb as hell. This other place was doing all this. Why can't this LGS do that?" Just pick and choose your battles next time. Next time you go to big events, check to see what the prizing is. And then once you see the prizing and you're comfortable with what the prizing is like, you can go ahead and sign up for that pro quest and you can make the trip. And if you lose there and you don't get any prizing, you're that's on you. So let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. I don't want LGSs to be discouraged from playing and doing pro quests, right? We are lucky enough that there are more and more LGS as the days go on who are interested in selling Flesh and Blood and running events for Flesh and Blood, even if it's just starting out as armories. There's more and more support for the game every single week, every month almost. There's more and more support. And the only way that LGSs are going to continue to support that is if toxic players don't end up going, "You're not paying me enough for my time because I'm special. And I believe that I'm worth more than this an hour. And I play professional card games, so I would know exactly what I'm doing." Go get a job. I don't know. Like, do something else with your hobby than just going to these events and expecting them to pay you a lot. You're not working the event, you're just a player in it. So let me know what is going on with this. What do you guys think about the prizing for these tournaments? And what would you change? Would you change anything about prizing? Do you think it's fine where it is? Do you think it's just, three ducks babbling about the poor time they had at their pro quest? Or do you think this is a more serious issue that needs to be addressed? Let me know in the comments down below. While you're down there, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel as well if you have not already. And you can also find a Patreon link in the description down below as well. We do also have, in addition to our Patreon link, a channel membership that you can join for the channel. Pretty cheap to start out. You get some emotes out of it too. And I hope to continue building on that as we gain more and more subscribers and more of you fantastic dragon folk here in the lair. So thank you all so much for watching. I do truly appreciate your support. And I will see you all very soon. Nerd out.